Yes, indeed. Welcome to the Bladtcast. Very excited to have an all-star panel talking about an all-star show, season 2 of Peacemaker. As always, I am Christian Bladt, and uh, he might not realize it, but appearing on the second consecutive episode of this show, Adam Hughezy, the H-Man Hughes. Hughezy, great to see you again.
Yes, thank you. It is still Oktoberfest, but I decided not to humiliate myself for 2 hours.
Okay, well, yeah, as long as you could probably start drinking, in the middle of this, and we'll.
And we're only going to be here for an hour, so
Yeah.
it's limited.
Don't tell him that.
And
one
One
hour
in an hour.
Yeah, 1
Here's the
hour is an
hours.
Oktoberfest, 4 hours. So
And with us, as he so often is, of course, the great Count Eric Connor. And you can't see him, our visual audience, but believe us, Phil Marks from Phil Marks Out, he is right there. Great to see you, Phil, or to hear from you, I guess. We don't actually see you. And
you and me before.
the guy so famous that he is in the Cardiff Electric theme song, the one and only Dr. Steve and some other
That's so
people,
funny.
which is what our audio audience will hear a little snippet of that, because this show really is Dr. Steve and some other people.
There was a time when the only person listening to Cardiff was my son and me. That's why he had that.
But some of us view those as the good old days.
Yeah,
Dr.
right.
You mean last week?
Before he got so good at himself.
who's Cardiff?
Well, exactly. By the way, we call him Lardiff here. We just want to be consistent.
Okay, good to know.
In any case, Dr. Steve, you were kind enough to comment an appearance I had on another show, and in so doing, I invited you to do this because you would post about Peacemaker, and I wanted you to share with our audience something you were telling us before we started, just how far back you go with this.
Oh, well, when I went to camp, I went to a camp called Camp Shawandacy, and it was kind of nightmarish experience for me. I was, pretty, I probably was, I was very repressed, put it that way. But my mom would send me comic books, but she didn't know what was good. So she would go to this smoke shop, and she would buy these packs of comic books in cellophane, and they all had their covers ripped off. Now, Brian Johnson will know what this means. If the covers are ripped off, it means that they sent the covers back to get a refund. And then they turn around and sell the fucking comic books, completely, really, double dipping. Well, anyway, and they were all comics that didn't sell, and they were all Charlton comics. I was like, oh my God, these effing Charlton comics. But I was at camp, so I would just read them, over and over and over again. And some of them actually were quite charming, like a Judo Master was fun, and Peacemaker was one of those. So there you go.
Yeah, and this character sort of finds his way into DC.
This was
at
60
point.
years ago, by the way, I think, something like that.
Oh, wow. So
yeah. So then DC buys the whole Charlton thing, and one of the things that was gonna happen was Alan Moore was going to do Watchmen with the Charlton characters. So Rorschach was the Question, and Dr. Manhattan was the Atom or something. I can't remember who that guy was, Captain Atom, and he was going to do something really cool. Hi, Fatty. He was going to do something really cool with all the Charlton characters, and DC told him, listen, we may want to do something with them. We don't want you to kill them. Right. And the idea of the multiverse wasn't really a thing then, because they could have just made that Earth, 922 or something. And so he had to make up his own characters, but those were all going to be Charlton characters. And Watchmen was one of the greatest comic book series ever made. I mean, we would wait at the comic book store for the shipment to come in so that we could get our, the next installment. So anyway, that's how far back I go.
It's just a shame that the comic wasn't as good as the 17-hour long film.
Watchmen? Yeah. Well, obviously, when you have an auteur like Zack Snyder, obviously, as we've discussed over on your channel, Hughezy, yes.
It's Mr. Snyder.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry. Yeah. And
The only thing I wish that Snyder had done it was done the squid, and they did that in the TV show.
Right.
You know, the HBO
Small
show.
squids.
Yeah. And I really appreciate the fact that Lindelof's version actually included the squid in the past, and he didn't have to explain it. He just kind of showed this giant squid from time to time, and that's the way to do it. But anyway, but that's not what we're here to talk about. But I
No,
just the Charlton characters had real potential, and DC somehow saw that. Alan Moore certainly saw it, and James Gunn sees it as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that, that is certainly a niche that James Gunn has carved out for himself in the
Likes all
last
that
15
quirky,
years.
weird shit that nobody else cares
The
about.
Guardians of the
Yeah,
Galaxy, I didn't
exactly.
know any of those characters. Those weren't even the Guardians of the Galaxy that I read in comic books. It was none of those characters.
Right.
The only one I really knew was Rocket Raccoon. His version of the Suicide Squad was populated with a number of those, and one of them being Peacemaker. And I was impressed by season 1, not that it was good, but that it was great and how much I really liked it.
Right.
And, I'm not that familiar with John Cena's work. I just know that, like Hughezy let me know that he's in his favorite comedy, the Amy Schumer movie. And that's really
the Amy Schumer movie. I
Yeah.
love how that's how it's though that one.
I actually
That
couldn't.
movie she had.
I couldn't. Train wreck. I couldn't think of the name of it as I was.
Amy
talking.
Schumer movie, train wreck.
Train wreck. Yeah.
Please don't say Amy Schumer and Colin in the
I
same sentence.
was thinking the same thing.
You would really like
wanna
it if
go
you haven't
visual on
seen it, Dr. Steve. It's a science fiction film where multiple men are attracted to Amy Schumer and are willing to fight over it.
It's alternate
I vomited.
universe. Yeah.
So
Okay.
again, that
Very
show
good.
was great, and
No,
we have
watch
to
it.
wait. We have to wait a little while to get this second season, and I think that there's a lot of expectations because of how great that first season was. I'll ask you first, Phil. What was your expectation heading into season 2, and do you feel it lived up to that?
Yeah, I expected it to be really good, but I didn't think I would. Well, I thought I'd like it about as much as the first season, which it did. The first season didn't like blow me away, but I thought it was really good. And the second season did blow me away. Like, I truly love this show. I'm in love with it. I want more. It's unfortunate that we're hearing like there won't be a season 3, but I think it'll live on, like maybe a show called Checkmate or something like that, But and luckily we get to see these characters more. And I'm glad that John Cena was in Superman. Like, I was listening to Foxy Shazam before we came on, like all of James Gunn's playlists. Like, if you're not already a fan of like Steel Panther and stuff, he'll make you a fan of all this music and
great with that.
Yeah, I just love everything about it. And a lot of people, like, online, they just want to chalk folks up as like, you're just glazing James Gunn and all this sort of stuff. Like, some people really hate what James Gunn does. Some people really love it. I'm in the camp of like, I love almost everything he's touched. All the deep cuts, the background, like the burger joints or things he saw in comics, things like that. And my expectation was more of the same of the first season. But in the first season, they already went like, hey, there's alien, like we're basically saving the planet from an alien invasion. So that's pretty like out there. And that's like a big, large scale problem to solve. And I like that the second season sort of grounded it, but then ended it in a way where it is like large scale DC universe level stuff going on, and we'll get into that, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, we'll certainly get into all of it. But if we have another celebrity in the chat, the great it's Eric Nagel. Dr. Steve owes me the money he gets from super chats.
What's super chats?
Yeah, well, only Hughesy's channel's
Super
monetized.
chats.
Yeah, that's the only way we'll get some money. Listen, you brought up Foxy Shazam, and that's an interesting piece of music, and it's nice, but it floored me that we did not have Wigwam Do You Want to Taste It as the theme song, because that was such a perfect encapsulation of that show. And maybe that's the difference, that was season 1.
Yes,
it took some getting used to, and I will admit, season 1 I never skipped the credits. I would just move past it.
It won me over, dude.
did.
It won me over.
Me too.
The Foxy song won me over.
By
And
the third episode, I was all in.
Right, and it's the soundtrack of the season. Like that song is like when you get to the concert moment. Again, I don't mean to jump ahead, but you get
No,
to
that's
the
fine.
concert.
We can just we can
and
we
that
can
moment
Tarantino this timeline.
but it was amazing. I don't know, it just hit. And the performance from Foxy Shazam in that episode, and then subsequently, if you go and check, I think like a day ago, they posted on DC's YouTube page like a music video version of the concert, and I just thought it was fantastic. And I rejected the theme at first too, like episode 1 and 2. I was like, I don't know, man, they should have left it. But then you understand why he chose that song. And again, I'm with you there on episode like 3 or 4. I'm singing. I know every word to the song all of a sudden, you know.
It's in my head right now.
Yeah,
Sing it. Come on.
La, la, la,
Just
la.
change every third
La,
note.
la, la,
Well,
la, 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 la,
I was talking a little bit about this before we started, and I think a good place to start with the season is the new theme song and the new opening. The choreography being great. I did like that we had 2 harcourts in the dancing, which I didn't think about in the first episodes, but so I thought all of that stuff was great. But Eric, you played around a little bit with the opening of the show, and well, why don't you explain it? It's your handiwork, and we're just going to hear a snippet of it. We're not going to listen to the whole song, but
Well, it's something I know a number of us have in common, and dare I say the world. Those who are fans of James Gunn, those who are fans of DC Comics, and those who are fans of Stuttering John Melendez, who you might remember from the pro football arm wrestling
I know. I remember that.
championship, yeah.
Right,
And
Yeah, he was
course,
he was a host and producer of that, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, and writer, and I mean, he I think parked cars,
And yet he's barely in the episodes. But anyway, yes, continue.
Well, and so I was wondering, because I've experimented with some very low end affordable AI before, what would it sound like if Stuttering John tried to sing that theme song? And it's nightmare fuel. I'll warn you,
Yeah.
it will stay
Come
with
on.
you.
I'm going to go to the part
Like
that
what's-
we were getting at. So
That's remarkable.
yes, you do.
The irony is his stutter's so bad, he's just trying to say la.
And,
He was trying to say La La Land, and it took him all song.
And Iraq points out that James Gunn owns John royalties from the opening credits.
He certainly
And,
does.
Well, you know who owes Peacemaker royalties?
Who's that?
Deadpool and Wolverine. Because everybody freaked out about that opening credits. It's like, yes, they completely stole that from Peacemaker.
It's not the open. Yeah, I know what you mean. You're talking about the Like a Prayer moment in Deadpool and Wolverine.
No, the opening credits where he's singing to that banger
Oh.
by NSYNC.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right.
No, you
Okay, yes,
didn't.
you're right. No, I did.
Just
Both
trying
of
to act
those.
tough in front of Dr. Steve.
Yeah, I know. I had to pretend I don't know who NSYNC are. Which don't look at the posters behind this green screen. Sure. But we might revisit a little bit more of John. In fact,
I suppose I've had some rough effing years.
Shoo.
Christian, if you get remarried, which I know you never will, that's your
Jeez.
wedding song.
but that version of it, obviously.
That version.
Yeah.
The
All
only
right.
version.
So the consensus is that I'm too much of a wigwam stan. That but I did eventually come around on the song, but it didn't. It wasn't episode 3 because I was skipping, and then the last couple, I'm like, no.
It's the only show I don't skip the opening.
Yeah.
Every other one I'll watch the first time. Maybe I'll watch it if it's like a series finale, but I always skip. Watched every single one of those openings.
Twinsies.
What's that?
So yeah, I think I'm the only
Twinsies.
one. I think I'm the only
yeah.
one. That we sort of deal with that. And look, it's interesting because the way that season 2 starts is like, hey, remember that really cool thing at the end of season 1 where we had members of the Justice League?
Mhm.
Yeah, that didn't happen. We had the Justice Gang, way less impressive characters. Which, look, it's good to be able to preserve the continuity, but it's pretty cool to have the Flash and Aquaman show up at the end of season 1.
Agreed, but he had to do it, and I thought when it happened and they showed the flashback of them walking, he's got a Harcourt in his arms, and those guys are there. It was like, this is cool because he's making it his own. He didn't know what they were going to do last year. Now he knows, and I thought it was cool. Listen, my thing is, and this is sort of a general comment about this. The Snyder versus Gunn thing, I do not understand. If you look at the comics, you look at Watchmen, for example, or there's other Superman and Batman comics that are really dark. Then you look at Grant Morrison doing All-Star Superman. It's very goofy and lighthearted, but still has, an emotional core to it. We can love it all. Why can't we like it all? I will not engage with this sort of Gunn versus Snyder thing, or Donner versus, I love it all, because when I was a kid, I thought I would never see the day where people took these characters seriously and made movies and real TV shows, because I had Batman 68 or whatever, right?
Well,
I watched it, but it was like,
Yeah.
why can't we do a serious version instead of a goofy, wham bam pow, Catwoman, you're not a very nice person kind of show. I wanted to see something serious.
Yeah, and I think that when I was a kid reading comics, pre the Tim Burton Batman, it was like, oh yeah, the idea of anything that approaches the comic books was very foreign. It was like the animated series, even at that point. We're talking before X-Men, before Batman, before Superman, before all those 90s animated series. It was all like, oh, okay, well, kids are idiots and they'll watch anything, which, look,
Right.
to an extent is true. But if you give them
it.
good shows, they'll actually appreciate it. By the way, Erock has this opinion. He absolutely didn't have to do it. The door portal should have been used to leave the Snyderverse and go to the new DC universe. Easy transition, and can still go back to the old verse if needed.
No, we can't.
He thinks that he screwed all this up.
It's all made up. That's the thing. Was this canon? It's like, I'm not saying Eric was talking like this, but the whole canon. It's like, you mean what really happened? Well, none of it really happened. So just let them do.
Write a strongly worded letter, and we'll deliver it. I'm right down the road from Warner Brothers. I'll be happy to deliver it for you.
And another
Nail
friend
it to
in
the door
chat,
like Martin Luther.
The great Trucker Andy. Agrees with me. I went from watching the credits of season 1 every time to skipping it every time in season 2. Yeah. Listen, if Trucker Andy thinks it, obviously it's right. So finally, I find someone who agrees with me at some point. And he also said this much earlier, which was very funny. Trucker Andy asks, Dr. Steve, did you think the train was really coming into the movie theater at the first picture show? Keep up the great work, guys. Thank you.
That's the great train robbery, and the really scary moment in that for people in the theater. And I was not quite old enough to be that. Was when he pointed the gun at the screen and fired it. People actually ducked.
Yeah,
that's how crazy it was.
So, Dr. Steve stood tall. He didn't duck. He ducked for no man.
By God, I wasn't gonna duck for that motherfucker. But anyway.
So I think it's easy to kind of look at the season as a whole, and then we can kind of go through some of the specific character arcs. Hughezy, how did this compare to season 1 for you? We're talking finally past the opening credits. We're actually talking about the content of the show.
Well, I thought that because when season 1 was announced, that was sort of at the peak of the streaming wars stuff, and everything was being announced where there's like, we're doing a spin-off, we're doing a reboot, we're doing a remake, we're doing everything, and every service was just sort of like farming for content. So when they announced Peacemaker, it's like, so it's a spin-off of a failed reboot that was filmed during a pandemic. So it's like, well, everything sounds like it's going to be great here. And then the fact that but I ended up really liking it. I love the fact that it was edgy to a point, but there were some times, especially in season 2, like I thought the first episode of season 1 was bad, I have to say, because it just seemed like instead of having legitimate edgy writing, it was like just have everybody curse all the time. and would you like a glass of fucking water? And it got to the point where it's like we get it. It's rated R. That this is an adult thing, and the changing of the theme song was weird to me because if there was going to be like 10 seasons of Peacemaker, and each season was to have a new song, I thought, well, okay, that makes sense. But seeing as this is allegedly the last one, I thought changing the song was good. Was weird, even though as Dr. Steve says, I grew to love it. But I did like the fact that the opening credits, it was a different version each week. Like it was cut differently each time.
Yeah.
So you seen new characters or new shots or whatever. But I grew to one other thing about season 2 that I hated, and I don't know if you ever watched Yellowstone,
No.
but they came into this ridiculous habit of anytime there's a fight scene, people's faces explode with blood, and then in the next scene they just go,
They're fine.
and it's like,
Right.
but they smashed the knife in your face, and that became ridiculous to a point, and I also don't like the fact that James Gunn put all of his punk friends into the cast, because if there's one thing I've learned from WATP is that everybody who likes punk music is a cunt, and every single one of them. So I thought that the soundtracks at time became self-indulgent. Nelson's in it. What did their shit?
I mean, they went to
Whoa.
look. That's the most believable thing that happens in the entire series,
And affordable, I would also argue.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. There was definitely a twofer on those tickets. So, Chris was like, "I got yours, Amelia." The idea that he would be excited to see Nelson on a boat, I would be hard pressed to resist. I mean, I don't know why their smash hit "Love and Affection" wasn't the song in there, but I digress to some extent. But yeah, I think that I guess there's a petition to disable James Gunn's Spotify or something because they feel like he put so much music in. I thought that the music was amazing in season 1 and still very good in season 2.
Yeah.
There were the times that the music just fit so well. And by
November
the way,
Rain.
yeah, by the way, E-Rock saying, what DC universe are we in if Hughezy thinks people are cursing and drinking too much? Man's got a point, Hughezy.
I'm still opining for Bryan Singer verse. What a great guy with a great cast of nice people.
You might have to keep waiting. The band doing the opening credits is about as punk as Queen.
Queen aren't punk. If you look at Freddie Mercury's mustache, it's spunk.
Yeah, but
Hi, Dr. Steve.
If there is a season 3, I believe that the opening music will be by the Isotopes. But Eric, I want to know kind of your thoughts, like as the season kind of moves along, just overall how you felt this compared to last year.
I thought it's interesting. It took a little while to get going. I thought it kind of needed a second to reboot, but then the end of season 1 happens where he kills himself. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then he realizes this alternate universe is so much better for him emotionally. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. I'm here. And this is a show that I'm sure we'll get to episode 8, which I know was pretty polarizing in that I've yet to really hear from anyone who liked episode 8, but episode 7 and 6 was, that was amazing. It was like, sort of like the Twilight Zone, right? All of a sudden the alternate universe, in a way that I also like, because I have to admit, alternate universes and deep space travel in comics doesn't quite do it for me the way it does for others. Like, I know Hughes is a big alternate universe fan. Like the one where he's in right now, where he's drinking water. It's fantastic. I'm so proud. But yet I thought it was really grounded in something emotional. I think that's like James Gunn's real secret superpower is like he can do really random shit. And I love that you have Lex Luthor. I did do a screen grab of him. I'm sure we'll hit at some point where it's basically him with an R-rated mouth. Like, I'm here for that. I love how he uses throwaway lines that are all of a sudden like, oh yeah, this is on HBO Max, HBO. butt effing a glowing twink with cartoon eyes, which feels like a beautiful album name for the next Isotopes album, actually.
I thought that, to me, Lex Luthor in this is sort of the reverse what we all expect Deadpool to do, where he shows up in an Avengers movie where he has to kind of clean it up a little bit, and he's not going to quite be the Deadpool we all know and love. This is really leaning into it. And by the way, the fact that Nicholas Hoult is in this at all, the fact that Lex Luthor is in this is impressive, because it's not that far back that you would never see major characters in tie-ins. There were cameos in like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and things like that.
And it worked perfectly too.
No, I thought it was great. And so it's like a legitimate surprise. It's fun. But the ultimate surprise, I think, is the realization that the alternate universe, that everything's perfect, is not as perfect as it seems. Except, Hughezy, I think you didn't understand what the problem was with the alternate universe. Am I right or am I wrong?
Hughezy felt seen.
I guessed the spoiler immediately, because if you notice, everybody had a Compound Media subscription. So I was like, well, duh. And also, people wore jewelry in public, so it's like, well, obviously there's none of them around.
Right, you're talking about people who hunt with metal detectors to try and find it. Yes, we know what you mean. But the idea that and everyone just assumes, well, Chris is so dumb he didn't notice. And he, like when he unfurls the flag that has the swastika on it, and he's like, oh yeah, I probably should have noticed this. And this mural of Hitler.
That was maybe the best joke of the whole show. Yeah, I'm not sure how I missed that.
Yeah, why didn't you make that the wallpaper for this episode?
There's still time. I suppose I could, because
you probably shouldn't actually. I'm just.
Yeah, no, I shouldn't actually. Yeah, exactly. But I thought that I'm gonna admit, I didn't notice like all the crowd shots that every single person was white. All right, I didn't notice. Okay, it was like when they started to realize what the problems were. When everybody else comes over. But what did you think of that, Phil? Sort of that was one of the things I remember seeing you post about in real time as these weekly episodes were being released.
Yeah, so I obviously when you go to this world, when Chris goes to the world or this alternate universe, whatever, alternate Earth, it's like all it's like euphoric and everything's vibrant and everything. But then when you see Harcourt go in there, and then she's just sort of like examining and looking around, and she's noticing something, but they're not being like overt about it. And that's when I picked up on it. But then, by the end of, I think it was the same episode, just once they show the Nazi flag, you're like, okay, I mean, like, you had to know something like that was coming. And I don't know, it popped me huge. And James Gunn, it's not like he even made a political statement or anything like that, but he just painted this world as like, it's this utopia, and Chris is worshipped here, and he's just very naive, or Peacemaker, or whatever. And he's just all naive and all that. And I don't know. I just thought it was a good little twist. And then ultimately they just got out of there as well. Like, it wasn't like they dwelled on anything or they tried to like shove some political, because it is weird. Like, this place is a utopia. Then you find out it's like it's a Nazi world, or it's a Nazi land or whatever. So I just thought that was like,
what's the difference?
I just thought it was just a cool way to like flip everything on its ear and just give you like a serious reason, like, you need to get the fuck out of here. It doesn't really matter who you kill in this world, kind of, in a way, maybe it does a little bit, but they left the idea of like his brother could come back, like he's not totally
Yeah, no, I know. And I thought
he was going to come back in the last episode.
I did too.
Yeah. So
yeah, but then we were under the mistaken impression that something might actually happen in the last episode. So that's on us for not realizing. Yeah, it's true. It was Nelson. By the way, again, E-Rock points out the Nazi reveal is James Gunn trying to fuck with the people who canceled him at Marvel. Not necessarily wrong, but
In what way? I'm trying to figure that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That sounds
I'm
profound.
trying to do the
but
math.
maybe not.
Yeah, E-Rock,
complicated.
you
Give
idiot.
him the link.
Yeah.
I
Not the
actually I should.
sausage
I mean,
link.
He has a lot to say. Apparently, he's.
I know,
This is
he
a good
does.
chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a
not-
lot to type for free in the chat.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, yeah, but my channel is not monetized, so otherwise I would only read the paid chats. I wanted to get your thoughts sort of on all that, Dr. Steve. This idea that I think they had to make it where it was just instantly obvious. Oh yeah, I can't stay here.
Right.
He didn't get to really consider, and
But the-
also they make it pretty clear. Hey, that other version of you. Yeah, he was an asshole, so it's
Mhm.
okay that you killed
Mhm.
yourself. What did you think of all that, Dr. Steve?
Well, just imagine killing yourself, though. He thought about killing himself multiple times in the past.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we can read his psyche, particularly in the first episode or first season.
I've had to consider that recently when I'm being made fun of by Vinnie Paulino. I'm like,
no.
okay, if this guy thinks a clip of me is something to point
You
at and
gotta-
laugh,
you gotta-
obviously,
yeah.
obviously, I might need to
It's the end.
reevaluate things.
But it's hard to do this in a TV show any more than they did. Now, I do think that they set up his brother to be a villain. Captain Triumph will be a villain down the road. I'm like Eric. We all kind of expected episode 8 to be more than it was, but a lot of stuff did happen. It was kind of like Lost, which isn't a great example to make, but where they wrapped up a lot of the personal stories. They just didn't. We were expecting the doorway to be a boom tube, and here comes Orion or even Darkseid or Desaad or one of those, and instead he threw Peacemaker into a. I'm not answering your question. I'm just rambling.
No. But I mean, it's all relevant.
Yeah, he put him in a world that is controlled by is Darkseid adjacent.
Salvation.
Yeah,
Salvation.
and then that becomes frustrating when it's like, oh, that's kind of stuck in there in the end.
Right, and it is
as I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, this is for season 3, and then James Gunn's like, by the way, no season 3. I'm like,
right,
what?
we're going to finish it in the movies.
Yeah.
And Lanterns, I guess, has something to do with Salvation.
Correct, that's what I've heard.
But Phil will know this, is that John Cena's been a wrestler for like 22 or 23 years.
Yep.
As you can see the way he walks, his back is completely destroyed. So, he's retiring officially in December. Then he's getting surgery, so he'll probably be out on his back, unironically, for the majority of next year. Anyway, that's not really him, by the way.
No, this is actually his surgeon's game plan. This is how they're currently looking through it. Right, Dr. Steve? This
it works that way. You just pop the hands off.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. Some of you guys know I worked in championship wrestling in the 70s, and I worked.
He was called Virgil.
And I worked with Ric Flair and Mr. Wrestling Tim Woods and Ricky Steamboat and Wahoo McDaniel and that bunch.
Did you say Ric Flair?
Yeah. I worked for the Crockett Brothers at WRAL TV, and we did Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, and then we would flip the banner around and do Wide World of Wrestling. Well, the reason I'm bringing this up is because the shows that we did back then for the 35 markets that we sent those shows out to were loss leaders. They were to get people into the arena to watch they would set up the rivalries between, I don't know, Blackjack Mulligan and Baron von Raschke. And then when you went to the arena, then all of those, all that enmity and anger would be let out there, and then everybody would be very satisfied. And that's where they made all their money. I think this is kind of analogous to this. He set up some stuff and he was like, this is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And then we're like, what? It's Sanctuary? That doesn't seem huge. But I think it's all going to play out in the movies. That's his version of The Lost Leader is the TV show to get people into the movies. That's what the only way
Christian,
I can look at it.
if there's one thing I can add here, Dr. Steve, I'm so geeking out about you talking about 70s wrestling. And what gives me even more fuel is knowing how little Christian knows about any of the things you just alluded to, which makes it better.
Ric Flair, and I knew to go woo. So
there you go.
I mean,
come on,
Blackjack Mulligan.
And if I can bring up pro wrestling,
Rufus
I host a popular pro wrestling comedy talk show called Pro Wrestle Times on YouTube that is monetized. So go and check that.
Well, speaking of monetization, Riley Martin's piss jug. Oh, motherfucker comes in here. How's your psyche knowing Karmic has 130 viewers?
Sounds gay.
130 people watching Karmic are definitely not the people I want paying any attention to me.
Wait, he's saying that you don't have as many viewers as 130?
Not at this moment.
Is that what he's saying?
That's what he's saying. But
those 130 viewers should be those 130 viewers should be sent to the sanctuary, my guess, for the protection of all of mankind.
But Dr. Steve, we'll make it up when we do Rumble Friday. All right,
Okay.
so everything evens out in the end. But by the way, Bernai, very excited to hear about this history about Dr. Steve. So much appreciated.
The wrestling,
yeah. So we appreciate that, and Hughezy, that $2 super chat you have to split actually 6 ways. You have to give some to E-Rock as well, so because he's been such an important part of the show. I think that one of the most interesting things is not the image that I just shared, but the season-long arc for Harcourt, who is a far more interesting character that I think we saw in the Suicide Squad, even last season. I mean, just her actually saying out loud that, I let people beat the shit out of me just so I can feel something. I mean, we saw her do it, but it's like, no, being able to just have enough of that sense. I mean, that's a pretty crazy thing, but at the same time, Hughezy, I assume that you were rock hard for every one of those scenes.
Yeah, this was just before this scene. She handed over a sandwich too late while the guy was watching football. But I actually thought this storyline was pretty stupid. Because like we've seen this shit a million times before, where it's like, oh, I'm tough and I'm self-loathing and I am a heavy drinker, and it's like, well then put weight on for the role. Like I hate when these heavy drinkers in shows are like completely gym ripped perfect.
Yeah. I mean, and she's not even Irish, so I couldn't believe it,
I mean, I am, but I burn off my booze really quick.
Exactly. But I thought that part of the story was dumb, and ironically, when you think about it, the fact that she came into the alternative world and immediately noticed that there was only whites walking around. Well, that means she's a racist. Because she's driving going, where are the black people? And so actually the Nazi world proved that Peacemaker is not a racist. There you go.
Right, because he just didn't notice. He doesn't see color. By the way, Mason in Portland, a.k.a. Portland Shane Gillis. Harcourt is married to James Gunn in real life. I think a lot of people know, but maybe not everyone does. Dude definitely outkicked his coverage.
Oh, Jenna Fisher was his first wife. I mean,
that's correct.
Right there. That's
why,
punching above your weight class.
Yeah. And Pam was lucky that she married Jim because her ex turned out to be Captain Triumph. So.
Right. Yeah, that's how we know that actor. Yeah. He was Roy on The Office, the American Office, or as we call it here, Hughezy, the good office, the American one.
The real office.
I agree. I think Ricky Gervais is one of the most overrated hacks that has ever lived. He can go fuck himself.
Noted.
All right. Well, you know what, Andy, I can't say I was thinking about this, but perhaps Harcourt was on the cunt for...
on the what?
On the cunt. Where's your mind at?
See what happens when I have Hughezy on a show. She was on the hunt for
Hughezy
BBC. Yeah, and I don't believe that means the British broadcast.
I'm trying to say ginger then.
She should have grabbed the one from the episode with the orgy in it. Was that 1 or 2?
Right, Otis was right there all along, man. If she needed
That's
that,
true, but sometimes you want it from Strange from a Strange
Strange.
Dimension. It kind of doubles down.
Hmm.
I'm glad you brought that up, Phil. That orgy scene sure was something else, huh?
Sure. It triggered a lot of people, I noticed. But here's the thing. In the first season, Peacemaker bangs a girl doggy style in the bathroom and she's naked and stuff. And I mean, I just thought it was, okay, they threw some dicks in there. I get it, but it's not like it was different from the season before where there was titties in that season and stuff. So I don't know if like the penises triggered everybody or what. I get it. It was like a little, whoa, it's just in your face, right? There's this giant hog swanging around and stuff. And and I get that, for some people, like you're not expecting it. But at the same time, I mean, it's like being triggered that Deadpool like makes a sexual joke or cuts a head off or so, you know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
part of the you knew it
Although
was
to be
coming.
fair, there are no dongs to look at in Deadpool. I guess that's where Disney's
Not
But
in your
if you whipped
version.
it out, would you be surprised? That's the question.
No, that's a great point.
not
I would not
right.
be surprised. One of my favorite runners through Deadpool in the comic books is that he always flirts with Spider-Man because he knows it makes him very uncomfortable. At one point, maybe there'll be an age-appropriate Spider-Man where they can do that. It's still very creepy. And by the way, in the chat, thank you, OJ. The great obnoxious John. Dr. Steve, be honest. You only did the GoFundMe to help Carl, not that hack Shuley. I don't know what obnoxious John's talking about.
All will be revealed in the fullness of time.
Yeah. I have to defend Shuley every time he gets criticized because the first time I ever spoke to him, he came on my show and he answered a ton of hard, stern questions that he wouldn't answer anywhere else, and I get a shitload of clicks out of it. So Shuley's a good egg in my eyes, despite his heritage.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say. Usually you don't like people from Alabama. Yeah. What were you going to say, Dr.
No,
Steve?
if I may, I hired Shuley to be the MC for an American Idol style comedy competition that we did called The Funniest Fucker in the Tri-Cities. And he was brilliant. He did such a great job. I knew that, because he was the Whack Pack whisperer, that he could control these 9 lunatic, local comics. And he was fantastic, man. The crowd at the end of the show, he did 20 minutes of stand up. He just said, "Hey, you guys want some more comedy?" Everybody was like, hell yeah. The place was packed. We had 300 people in a venue that was only supposed to have 225. And it was truly standing room only. And he did 20 minutes of stand-up, got a standing ovation at the end. Now, this is a crowd that's starved for comedy. We're in relatively rural area of Tennessee, so you got to take that part with a grain of salt. But they would not stop until he left the stage. It was so. I will always give Shuley credit for that.
Well, by the way, that event was successful because everyone who went actually got the posters they paid for. I think
that is true. They got everything that they paid for and more.
But I wanted to get your thoughts.
But anyway, that's my spiel.
But I digress.
On someone like Harcourt getting her ass kicked. I know that Hughezy was quick to dismiss that just because, obviously, she probably deserved it, is what I think Hughezy was trying to say. But that's not what the rest of us are saying. How did you feel? Yeah, how did you feel that worked as a narrative for that, giving a layer to that character who really just seemed like a hard ass when we first get to know her, even early in season 1?
Yeah, that's a sign of someone who's in pain. He could have just showed her cutting herself, but it's more dramatic to show her going out and kicking rednecks' asses and getting her ass kicked only because they ganged up on her, And you have to suspend disbelief. We've seen this trope time and time again, even in the Mission Impossible movies where you've got, what's her name?
Tom Cruise.
Muad'Dib's mother. I'm blanking on her name, but from Dune. But anyway, and she's, they always do that move where they get up and they spin around the neck and then somehow do this and God, I'm having all kinds of senior moments right now, but they've done that in the Marvel movies,
Sure,
they've done it in all these different movies, and they did it in this. And you just have to suspend disbelief because it's not as dramatic to just show her cutting herself with a razor blade, but it was basically the same thing.
Wait,
Just
now you're
showing
going to
it.
tell me bird blindness isn't real either?
Well, that was actually literally my next thing.
Fucking genius.
How often have you had to treat people with bird blindness, Dr. Steve?
Not too many, but I have had people that have had that agnosia or anosia, where they can't recognize people's faces. People have strokes and stuff like that will have that. So it's not completely unheard of. And they'll see they'll see a kid or they'll see an adult, a blonde, a brunette. They can't tell them apart.
I can't recognize Phil.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's weird. I'm having the same problem.
That's a great point.
But anyway, go ahead.
So, but that stuff you mentioned about the bird blindness, that's sort of this stuff to me that I thought came across as kind of hacky, where it's like there's this really good film called Baywatch. And they didn't have it. It wasn't a funny script at all, and it was just okay. Here you say shit, and then this person says fuck, and then something gross will happen. And I thought that whole stuff about so this guy goes out with a stripper and her tits and cum and all this stuff, and you just think what's this got to do with the story? And if you edited Peacemaker season 2 into a story, it would probably be about 4 episodes long.
Do you feel that it should be 4 episodes long? Do you feel like because I could have used more, and especially the way it started to wind down, but do you feel like there was a lot of fat throughout this second season, Hughezy?
Yeah, I think that, and that's one of the problems with a lot of these shows is that if you just go by the story itself, they're just all like, it's like the Judd Apatow films, like the funny, but the actual part of it that involves the storyline is generally like 40%.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, it's like he had a script for a Peacemaker 2, the movie, and instead it's like, but we need to fill this in the TV show. So this guy can't notice birds, and this guy's going to hunt down Eagly, and hardcore is going to be depressed and have a permanently regenerating face and all this stuff. And I just thought that, I mean, I didn't hate it, but it's if we're really nitpicking it, that stuff I thought was ridiculous.
Red Saint Wild could have been cut out of this thing, but I'm glad he wasn't.
I enjoyed. I thought it was funny.
I'm
with you on the hardcore stuff, though, Hughezy. I'm with you 100% on that, and like all the bar fight stuff you guys are talking about. I'm with you guys 100% on that. Like
one bar fight would have been enough. I think the thing is, I think you had to see that to know the amount of pain that she was in and how she couldn't talk to him, so that you got the payoff at the end where she said, it was everything.
And the bird blindness, like a gag for the sake of the gag. It's just Tim Meadows, come be funny in this. I get it. But yeah, I did I don't know. I'm okay with Michael Rooker.
Yeah.
Showing up and doing whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's good and everything. So
he gets killed in every James Gunn movie.
Yeah. Well, James Gunn and Michael Rooker, it's just one of those creative collaborations I'm here for. Like anytime Michael Rooker shows up in anything James Gunn does, it's going to work.
Agreed.
I think Mallrats onward. I'm a big Rooker fan, and to the look, I in general, like I'm saying, I could have actually used more stories, but Iraq's not wrong here. He had to dedicate so much time to the lesbian divorce because that was so essential to any story happening. I think when the second season started, I didn't remember how much of season 1 was like her dealing with her relationship, and then I was just going to say the need to actually officially close the book on it. You just needed to be like, oh yeah, that didn't work out. I don't know that we needed that. What were you going to say, Hughes?
No, but it's kind of like if you're going to call the show Peacemaker, then the show, all the story should be about him. Like that one about the divorce. Like if you ever watched Dexter, when it started going downhill was because it started being about everybody in the cast. It's like, but it's called Dexter.
Mm-hmm.
It was like
Oh yeah.
they killed Valerie on the show Valerie. That was complicated.
Yeah, but then they called
Yeah.
it Valerie's family, so
And then the
it worked
Hogan
out
family.
fine. Well, yeah.
Right.
And look, anytime you
They
can
went to
replace
Carla's
so-
house in
yeah.
Cheers. It was like
Right.
it's over.
right, anytime you can replace someone with Sandy Duncan, you should do it. I think is the moral. of the
Peacemaker
story.
season 3 with Sandy Duncan. I'm here for it.
I would absolutely be there for it. Goody Two Shoes wants to know after this is their time to review Carl's stand-up. Not on this stream, but I do want to show a little of that to my buddy Eric Zane on Tuesdays. Who are these?
I couldn't watch it
because you couldn't watch it.
It was so painful and cringeworthy to watch.
It was
Even the
because the crowd
squeegee?
didn't know.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
The funny
so
thing is
I
that
felt-
Carl, for some reason,
was
did it
brilliant.
all in that gay character that he likes to portray. It was very convincing.
no, that's actually where you're wrong.
That's how they talk in Rochester.
He was
If
just
you were from
being-
America,
he was-
you would know that. Damn
he
it.
was just being Carl. Yeah, that was no character.
Yeah.
I don't know if you or as
They
Carl
need to
would,
retire the wheel of consequences.
or as
after
Carl
that
would
one.
say, I see what you did there. So I would definitely like to take a look at it with my buddy Easy because I, for one, thought it was amazing. But in any case, that's a little bit of a niche. I mean, if we're going to play music performed by Stuttering John, I guess we can certainly talk about it once in a while. And, just for a quick interlude, we'll get back to the conversation in a second. I want more of Eric's handiwork to show up here.
Let me tell you, Julian, it's a hungry world that can eat you alive, son. Yeah, Julian, when nothing's to give, I stitch you, but then I gotta throw you back in. Oh, you just try and see.
So, Dr. Steve, does Carl's stand-up seem a little bit more easy to listen to now?
No, if you've watched The Office, right? And if you rewatch it, there are certain Michael episodes I cannot watch anymore. Scott's Tots being one of them, because
Accurate.
they're so cringy. And this is how I felt with this too. I felt. I knew what he was doing. It was a consequence. It was just really hard for me to watch because there was a real audience there thinking this is this guy's jokes. And that's what's brilliant about the creep off. The consequences are awful, but I think they really need to retire the wheel
Dr.
after
Steve,
this
if you
one.
like Scott's Tots, I recommend the charity Hughes' Jews, which is gonna really take off. Shuli is the first recipient of their Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah.
In the chat, Lewis Cox mentions I haven't seen Creature Commandos yet. I don't think that was necessary, but I enjoyed that show.
Yeah, I
But
did.
I
too.
don't feel like you have to watch all of these things.
It's way better than it had any right to be.
But-
yeah, I do agree on that.
A lot of people online were triggered that like Flag wasn't the same as in Creature Commandos, as in Superman, as in Peacemaker. What do you guys all think about that? To me, I'm just like looking at character progression. Like, I don't know. That's just me personally, but what do you all think about that?
Well, I think that dealing with this guy who, killed his son definitely, changed. There's kind of weird sequence where he's like doing coke with people, and like I was like, okay, I don't quite know what happened to Flag sort of there,
Well,
but
somebody controlling him, maybe.
yeah, that's actually something I hadn't thought about. Yeah,
Just getting drunk with power,
Yeah, this notion that he just wants this guy to pay for it, which is literally the end of season 2. I don't know. It is a little bit inconsistent, I guess. But what do the rest of you think, Eric? Your thoughts on Flag in this versus where we've seen him in other places?
It goes a little far with like how buddy he becomes with Lex Luthor, which doesn't quite track, but yet he has been driven so insane by the thirst for revenge, which was like a theme that shows up repeatedly in this show as well, with like the brother and the brother wanting to kill Peacemaker initially. So I think it kind of worked. Maybe they went a little far with it. It's not quite the same guy. I'm still trying to figure out when he had Rick Jr. because he looks like he's just like 5 weeks older than him. But
Okay, that's fair. I wanted to circle back to this because I meant to put this up from E-Rock earlier. people were upset with the orgy scene because James kept promoting that Superman ties into Peacemaker. You do kind of have to see Peacemaker to set up the rest of the universe.
Right.
And Superman had a PG kids following. My hope is that they continue to put Peacemaker episodes on like TNT, so there'll be like a kid friendlier version
Yeah.
of it, because I mean, my son doesn't care about this stuff, but my son's 10, and if he was like, oh, I really want to watch Peacemaker, I'd be like, well, no, that's
Right.
you're gonna have to find an illegal stream and watch it
But
yourself.
what about when Deadpool shows up in Avengers? There's going to be kids who are like, I want to see Deadpool and Wolverine, and it's like they tell fingering jokes and
Right.
like butt fucking jokes and all other sorts of things you hear in Hughesy's house. And
I just love that E-Rock is the moral barometer here. When his show
He
used
always
to do
has
the
been.
N-word versus Nazi game.
But, Gunn has said that all of these projects will stand on their own.
Yeah.
And he promises that you won't have to watch Peacemaker to enjoy Man of Tomorrow, but it'll enhance your experience if you did. And I hope that that's right, because it got really weird with the MCU where you had to watch certain things, and I've lost the thread at one point. Well, particularly during Phase 5, I've been.
So did they. I wouldn't work it. Right.
Right.
not alone on that one.
Isn't the
So everybody's going to get to do something different. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
but isn't the Supergirl out in March or something?
It's soon, yeah.
That's the one I am excited about.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome.
The book was very different than all of this, and I think it's going to have a different tone, and I think people are going to see, the Clayface movie is going to have a completely different tone. So I like that they can all do these different things in here. And, and then you've got Batman over in the corner that he's probably not part of this. But
no, because there'll be Brave and the Bold Batman that is
right.
part of this, which will be separate. By the way, June 26th for Supergirl. Just want to throw that in there. But finish
Creature Commandos. We had a cameo from the DCU Batman, so don't really mean anything. He was animated, but I'm excited for all of this stuff. And the Supergirl movie I think it's gonna rock.
Yeah,
and she's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, look, to the extent that earlier, Dr. Steve, you were talking about the Snyder Bros versus James Gunn, but there's also typically like a Marvel versus DC thing. Every time I see any of these movies, I want them to be good.
Right.
Eric and I even sat down together to see Madam Web on Valentine's Day. So make of that
so
what you will.
sweet, so special.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, my mic's on.
But even that, I was like, all right, well, Sydney Sweeney's in it, so it's going to have to be great, right, Hughezy? She's a looker.
I don't know if you knew this, but in Euphoria, you see her Wagner.
Yeah.
I think you see your lobby Majora and Minora.
I'm sorry, but if Bernai is going to say this,
I can do with tits. I don't need an anatomy lesson of the vulva.
Bernai with the hot take.
That's not your continuing medical education?
That's an insane take. That's not a hot take. That's a cry for help.
The screening for The Dark Knight Rises was a better experience than having to see Madam Web.
You mean a specific screening in Colorado? Right. Is that what you're trying to say?
Oh,
well, I want to make sure to explain the joke to people.
They should know it's a Peacemaker,
In any case, look, I'm excited for all of it. I want some degree of satisfaction with Chris's storyline, and I thought that moment where Harcourt knew to go back and shoot his brother in the head, his alternate universe brother, was really important because she's like, oh yeah, this is going to be a problem. And then when she's not able to, and James Gunn has said he's going to, he has a plan to do something with it. He's just not sure when. And, there's, I really felt like that was going to be something that we saw soon, but as long as this happens at some point, if it's 4 or 5 movies down the road, little bits of things have happened. Maybe the Checkmate tie-in series, they can show up in Lanterns, which Iraq points out is next. It's fine. It's just actually follow through with it. I want to see these characters again, and if they don't feel the need to do a Peacemaker season 3. that's on them. But I don't know. Am I being too needy, Phil?
No, I want a Peacemaker season 3, but the neediness, like you'll have your thirst quenched, dude. Like Supergirl, Clayface, Lanterns. I think that's all next year. So
Kyle Chandler's going to be great as Hal
Oh, yeah.
Jordan, a more
Yeah,
older,
so you'll-
weary Hal Jordan.
yeah.
But there's also not to get all businessy, but Warner Brothers is up for sale,
Yeah.
and if they were to be sold, I don't know if that would. What's the term? Violate all current contracts
Fuck
or
up
avoid.
everything. That's the
Mhm.
term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, could there be like yet another reboot of this shit, or would Paramount bring them in and say, okay, like, cut the budgets on everything? We're not signing a $400 million Clayface 3.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think that they would definitely want to sit down and kind of see where things go, and they might circle some projects that were already ready to go and be like, well, let's kind of evaluate the progress on these other things. Funny name from Dick Fitzwell, but and the image of the great Richard Grieco is not lost on me. They lost money. If the merger goes through, James Gunn is gone. I don't think that's necessarily the case, because if you buy this company, you know the tremendous value that there is in Superman and, yes, Batman and all these other things. And unless you have somebody that, you feel like can handle this, I don't think that Gunn's been at it long enough. And I don't know. I mean, I guess Superman didn't make the kind of money they wanted it to. But I
Did it
don't
lose
know.
money though? I heard that it did not lose money.
Yeah,
They kept the
that's what
budget.
I'm not quite sure. But, I
It
don't.
didn't make $1 billion, but
That's what I was going to say is
fine.
when they tell you that like a movie that only
Right.
makes $900 million is a failure. I'm like, all right, I don't think I understand this business. That's
Yeah.
that's
But
that's
Warner
why
Brothers-
that's why I host the Bladtcast. What were you going to say, Hughezy?
But Warner Brothers, the fact that they shut down their video game division in this day and age is a baffling sign of terrible business. Like just say this is a random idea. You had a Superman open world game where you could literally fly into space. Like there could be some incredible stuff you could do, and that would be an enormous hit. But they were making such little profit on the shit they were making that they had to shut that down. Like I genuinely think that if that's the potential sale or the definite sale is going to mess this whole thing up, and it's a shame, but they've had this coming, like a $200 million Joker sequel.
Wow.
that was a musical. I mean, what was the problem?
I hope Aaron Eimhold's seen it.
How much did that movie lose? Do we know the number?
Everything. I can't. Yeah, I actually let myself forget.
They
about
can't
that.
count that high. How much it cost?
A little back and forth in the chat. Erock says put Matt and Trey in charge of DC and Dr. Steve through and Lord Miller. I don't think we're. By the way, Matt and Trey, that would certainly be something. I don't know how economically viable those films would be. I would love them,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
it would be worth seeing. I want to make sure we talk about a couple characters before we go. I thought Vigilante was great this season.
Yes.
Just the complete through line from season 1 to 2. No change in that character. I didn't need it. I loved how much the other universe version of him loved this version, and he was so focused on it. It actually became kind of funny that he's like, no, this is what I need to do. I have to go find him, because he knew that this was going to be his best friend. And then there's that moment of like, oh no, the Nazis won World too. Wait, what? So I thought that was great. I actually thought that they were going to send the other vigilante back through, and I'm not 100% sure they didn't, because I don't think there was a moment where I was like, okay, well, they should confirm that with us that was really him, because look, this version of Vigilante really hates living with his mom, so who knows? Maybe he would just be like, yeah, that would probably be better.
That joke got a little old, so I'd be perfectly okay with a new vigilante who's nice to his mom.
I don't know. That mom seemed like she deserved it. But what did you think of that character specifically? I'll ask you first, Eric.
Well, I think they use vigilante really well because they don't use him too much. I think that's one of those guys. It's kind of like when to go back over The Office when they were talking about giving Dwight his own show,
Oh,
and then they did the
they did
backdoor
the
pilot.
backdoor pilot of like the
Yeah,
Beat Farm. Yeah.
yeah, and it was like there is too much
Mhm.
Dwight is not a good thing. So I
Mhm.
think Vigilante, it was smart how they used him. I loved his relationship with himself, and I'd be here for an entire episode of just the two of them on some
Yeah.
adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that actor, all of a sudden you realize, like, because it seems, oh, he's kind of goofy, but there's actually some real darkness to him
Mhm.
too,
Mhm.
which pops up every now and again. Him and then Judo Master, I think same thing. They used just the right amount of Judo Master.
Right. And I think Judo Master is an example. I think that for the most part, I liked Vigilante last year, but Judo Master was not a particularly likable character. He was a funny character.
funny.
But by the end of this season, he's giving relationship advice, for that
Right.
very important
Mm.
lesbian divorce that
Yeah.
we needed to include.
He also had the best line maybe of the whole series of like, that's the most people I ever electrocuted in a pool. What's the second most? 4.
That's true. That actually was pretty great.
Really.
What did you think of Vigilante this season, Hughezy?
I'm with Eric in that I thought that the joke was getting really old. Where and again, like when he's talking about the divorced lady, shall we describe her as the D word? And when he said to him and his mom, "Oh, why'd you go eat each other's pussy then?" And it's like, okay, James Gunn, you're very funny with your punk friends.
I'm a punk rocker. Yes, I am.
Oh,
Kindness is punk, Hughezy. You know that.
Yeah.
punk stinks.
Yeah. You're definitely on record with that. That's very true, as far as you're concerned. And Phil, I want to move over to Economos, who
Yes.
is an incredibly just self-involved, unlikable, like asshole of a character, except for the fact that I like him and I think Steve Agee does a tremendous job. There's such great acting from Steve Agee on this show. It's more so than when he was on the Sarah Silverman show and he pretended she was funny. I mean, that was really convincing. This was even more so, though. Like, really leaning into, yes, sometimes it's a little bit too much, but just how he can't make small talk, how he can't kind of do anything. And it's almost like, yeah, but all these guys really like him.
Yeah.
But am I missing a point, Phil, on Economos?
I don't know. I don't think you're missing anything. He's my favorite. He was like my favorite character, I think, consistently throughout the show. Like, if I know, obviously, Peacemaker's the star of it, and John
Sure.
Cena's great and everything. But I just think, Steve Agee's his name?
Steve Agee's his name, yeah.
Yeah. So he was brilliant, and I think Economos, Vigilante was a close second for me. I really liked Vigilante in this series, especially the second season. But yeah, Economos he just steals every time he's there, just riffing. I don't know if he's riffing. I think in like the last season, he had like a minute and a half where they're like, distract them or whatever. And he's just babbling about, I don't know, man. I'm laughing the whole time. And I really enjoyed every time we had him going back and forth with Cena or anybody. Like, he played so well off of everybody. Whereas there's sometimes maybe Harcourt and, certain characters might not play so well off each other at certain times. I don't know. I don't want to nitpick it, but he was like, to me, it's like him and John Cena were like the foundations sort of the season for me. I don't know.
What did you think, Dr. Steve, about the supporting cast in general? Sort of
Yeah,
names
it's one of the great things about this show to me. And Steve Agee, yes, brilliant, but he wasn't just a dumbass weirdo. He was really good at his job. So that kind of was a counterpoise to his sort of emotional difficulties and his inability to bond with people, except that he bonded with these people and he really cared about them. And, he was not thrilled about doing this job after Suicide Squad. And he ended up being, one of Chris's, team and supporters. And I thought he was hilarious in every scene he was in. And I love Vigilante. I love the fact that they did the Spider-Man meme. And when he first meets his person, it's like he's serious. Oh shit, this guy's a serious peacemaker or a vigilante. And then he pulls his helmet off, says, "I'm you from another dimension." He's like, Are you fucking kidding me? And then they're best buds, you know?
Yeah, I think that there was the expectation that this one was just going to be completely different, but no, it was
Correct.
like exactly the same.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
and I think that that's one of the ways that the show works is that yes, Peacemaker's the title character, and I do find him to be interesting, but they surround
An
him with these
ensemble.
people who there's an ensemble that might not necessarily work on another show. Like these same characters sort of spread out. It's like the combination of these 11th Street kids and sort of the way they're reconstituted at the end of the season. It was that much more disappointing to be like, oh man, they are really raring to go. They've built up towards something. Yeah, just kidding. That's season 3. So
Well, I think Adebayo being Peacemaker's best friend when Vigilante thinks he's his best friend in that. But I think she's great. She's kind of the heart of, she's Peacemaker's conscience in a way, and she's the one that can kind of communicate with him, say, no, what you're doing is wrong, or this is why people care about you, etc. I thought she was really great.
Well, she's us, right? I mean, she's of the wonderful array of characters, the one we can kind of connect to the most.
She's the normal one.
Especially Hughezy.
If we're normal, she's the normal one. Right. Agreed.
Yeah, and it's similar to how Eric thinks he's my best friend, but we all know it's
That's really me.
Yeah, it's really. Oh, sorry. Yeah, but I don't know if this is really who this is in here. But just in case, Ashley Cummings is saying hi to Hughezy.
I'm jealous.
The idea to hit the like button, and also the fact that Ashley Cummings would take the time to say hi, Dick Fitzwell.
She actually meant to say his.
That's Dr. Fitzwell.
His Dick Fitzwell.
Yes,
I got it.
We appreciate the people who show up. Well, now this must really be her because she wants Dr. Steve to do her show. So.
Okay. Sure.
And by the way, if Deadpool,
I'm a tough negotiator.
Yeah, I mean, come on. At this point, Dr. Steve, there's no show. Well, maybe Rock Bottom Podcast. I think that might still be the one show that you don't.
I still have to do Jake Hudson show, but I will.
Do you?
Yes.
Do you really have to do Jake Hudson show?
I keep getting the invitation.
Revenge.
By the way, it's Jake Huston. Jake Huston.
Correct. Right.
So
I did know that.
I don't want to belabor the point too much, but I do want to give everybody any chance for final thoughts, storylines. I know that we kind of, plowed through 8 episodes, but in general, it seems like we're happy that we got another season of this show. Maybe not every storyline. Maybe Hughezy would have been okay with less episodes. But I'll ask you first, Eric. Is there something that is there a stone we have left unturned at this point?
Oh, as far as season 2, I mean, I feel like we kind of hit the whole thing. I kind of appreciate, and I don't. It's almost like I'm afraid to open this door to this portal, but that we didn't really harp on episode 8 too much, because episode 8 was when I was like kind of reviewing, because I was worried, like, did I miss something? But it was, in essence, episode 7 was the climax, and episode 8 was the resolution. Episode 8 is the epilogue. Sort of, the dust settling. Yeah, it's an epilogue, an extended one. And I think maybe they might, if they put 7 and 8 together as like a double episode, I don't think there would be any sort of blowback on it. But I think they have set up so many things that, I mean, even a movie could tie up actually a fair amount of it, though I don't see the movie in this. I
can't imagine them making a Peacemaker movie, so it's going to have to be parts of other things.
Or do what they did with Marvel with like Werewolf by Night or the upcoming Punisher one. Maybe they do a straight to HBO Max movie to wrap things up, which doesn't feel crazy, feels affordable. But I feel like we deserve to have some answers here because they did set up some really cool stuff for a next season. I just hope we get some kind of closure on it. And also, I love these characters. James Gunn has really created such a terrific world and a spin on DC that I don't know how long it will maintain, but so far he's off to a fantastic start with it. So I'm here.
Hughezy, what I always hear you say is that there should be more direct to streaming movies. Does that sound like the solution to you?
Yeah, everybody knows that the best way to watch a film is on a laptop at home during daytime.
Apple Watch is even better.
Or on your phone on the bus home from work or whatever in 10-minute increments. That's the way the Lord of the Rings was designed. but I would say overall, I like season 2. But the way Eric was saying about episode 8, it felt to me like back when you were at school, Dr. Steve, when if you had to do a report and it had to be, say, like 1,500 words, and you did your word check and it was 1,200 words, and you go, shit, how do we drag it out and everything? It is, and no abbreviations and everything. So 8 to me, again, going back to the brilliant point that I fantastically made earlier, was that it just felt that it was padded out, and now we're getting a really long Nelson song that everybody enjoyed, and we got the theme song played in full again.
Yeah.
And we get all these montages of Peacemaker. That whole thing about him being arrested and put in jail, and then it's like, yeah, your bail's met, and that's it. It's like, what?
Yeah.
That was actually a little
captured
bit of a
again.
surprise, Yeah.
Yeah. And where was the, pardon my French, where was the gosh darned big cameo in the finale that we were literally promised by James Gunn?
Did he promise it?
He fucking did.
That was Sanctuary. That was the cameo.
So you mean the story that he wanted to open one of the doors and it would have been Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool? Is that the cameo that you wanted to see?
That would have been cool.
The one that they never could have actually made work? Or
What about this? If it had have been Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern, and
that would be pretty great.
yeah, and Cena would have seen. But what was he called? Was he Hal Jordan?
Yeah, he was the Hal
He was
Jordan
Hal
and Green Lantern.
Him just
Sure wasn't
about
Jon Stewart. Yeah.
Hey, I see what you're doing. But and that would have been Hal Jordan like passing away because of something in Salvation unalived him.
Oh,
I thought it's like, well, there's your ending, there's your wrap up to that great 2011 film that everybody loved.
yeah. It's a top 10 as far as I'm concerned. Phil, I want to make sure. Did you want to chime in on anything else? I think in general, we're not giving this, an A+, but I think that this season was, episode by episode, some of the episodes I think were an A+, but on the whole, this was a gentleman's B, I think, in terms of a letter grade. But do you feel like there's any lingering thoughts you have, Phil?
Well, on the whole, I prefer a gentleman's A, but James Gunn, I just have to say this, man. James Gunn, he takes this like outlandish, otherworldly shit, and he like finds a way to make it grounded and emotional and human. And I think that's kind of like the thing you can take away from this. If you want to see the same Jor-El story told, or if you want to see like the Donner Superman films or whatever, go and watch those. I don't know what to tell you. Like, we've seen that movie 4 times already, or 5 times now, the same story. So I'm interested in his like DC animated universe, but kind of for adults approach. We also didn't talk about I think Sacha Bordeaux and how she says, I'm a cyborg, which in the comic book, she's a cyborg. And then like Heel vs. Babyface and other people were like, she's cyborg or whatever, is like freaking out about that.
And she works for Batman.
Yeah, and they're like, she's the cyborg. This is Victor Stone or whatever. And it's like, no, dude. She says, I'm a cyborg or whatever. So that, I don't know. We didn't get into all that, but that's internet drama for another day.
Maybe she got injured playing lingerie football. And then that would be the new cyborg.
That would be, yeah. So
she was a interesting character as well to throw in there. If you know her backstory in the books and all that, we know James Gunn's a deep cut guy. So I just say enjoy it for what it's worth. Hughezy said it too, man. Like, if Paramount ends up swooping in and buying Warner Bros, it's like, well, they could just scrap this whole thing and go with Pattinson universe, Matt Reeves universe. So we really don't know. So just enjoy it while it lasts, and it's a unique take. So
he has a 10-year plan. So, this is just the very nascent.
Right. And Gunn helped plan out peak MCU. People got to remember that. Like, Feige would, like, it's Gunn. Feige would call Gunn, people are like, well, just the Guardian stuff. But beyond that, too, he helped lay some of this stuff out, and really think about it. When he left the MCU is kind of when it all started going to shit. Let's be honest. Not to say he had his fingerprints on everything, but I think he had some influence in some direction there, and I trust his vision. I'm a James Gunn fan. I get it. Some people are like, oh, he just makes James Gunn movies. Yeah, that's why they hired him to do that. He knows how to make space and superheroes. Listen, man, he made Peacemaker a household name. He made Guardians a fucking household name. Maybe not Peacemaker's a household name, but it's not an accident that this happened twice with these obscure characters or groups of characters.
Agreed.
Right? Like if it was once, okay, it's a fluke, but he did it successfully with Peacemaker. Trust the process. It's like a DC animated universe live action. Look at it that way. Stop being so triggered pussies. Follow me on Twitter. That's what
Exactly. That's what we were.
Let's go.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that, Phil. And Hughezy, if you want people to find more of you, where should they go to do that?
At the Hughezy on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm Hughes Entertainment on YouTube, where I live stream multiple episodes. And Dr. Steve, you will be forced to come on my show to recap the highlights of the Jake Huston interview.
Okay.
We want to see what it's like when you experienced when you watched him literally eat shit live on air. He's done that before. That was nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
Well, Bob Levy seen it, and he did vomit over himself, which was also fun.
There's a medical term for that, coprophagia.
Well, yeah, but it also begins with R.
It's not like that's the first time somebody's done that.
Yeah.
You got a name for it, you got a problem.
The great Echo Pineapple, bloody spoilers, glad I missed this show. And he's also, I think, saying that Eric looks like the Aussie guy. You got saying you have the Aussie guy. I don't know. I think that's not a compliment to say that Eric looks like the Aussie guy. Although I like the
cool pineapple can't hurt me.
I never noticed that, but that explains their action. So everybody should expect to be guilt tripped into coming on the show once again for my multiple Christmas streams. Christmas starts early in wherever the fuck I'm from, and also hit the like button wherever you're watching this.
Yes, we appreciate that. And Dr. Steve, I was at Hackamania 2, where I believed I saw the final episode of Weird Medicine, but it continues, doesn't it?
No, that was the final Sirius XM show.
I see.
And nobody cares. It just, the schedule was what was getting to me. And, so I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. We're still doing the podcast, but I want to do more video stuff. I've never really concentrated on video. I got a degree in television directing. I should be doing video. So
wait, is that what you're a doctor in? You're a doctor in video?
No. I got my BA in radio, television, motion pictures.
Oh, okay. So
that's how I got to work in championship wrestling. I did audio. I was their audio.
You're the only doctor who has a medical degree from the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I didn't realize that.
The best doctor in wrestling since Chris Benoit's.
There you go.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Even I get that. Well, Dr. Steve, it has been an honor to have you on the stream.
Thank you
so much. Eric Connor and I, for our live YouTube audience, Eric and I will be talking about a Peacemaker comic from 2023. So we'll be doing that in a moment. And but Eric, for this portion of the conversation, what would you like to promote?
Well, I'll promote Aussie Guys show. So I guess I'm there.
United States of Australia. Yeah.
Yeah. When my hair gets a little fuller and grayer. And Count Eric Connor over on Insta and on X. And if you go venture over to the Geekscape side of YouTube, you can see me and my lovely bride do a very detailed takedown of Brewster's Millions, one of the most pivotal movies from the mid 80s. So
the second best movie with Richard Pryor, the first, of course, being Superman 3. That's obviously the best movie Richard Pryor.
Neck and neck with the toy also, as well as being politically correct.
I was gonna wrap things up, but nice podcast stupid comes in with a good point. Hughezy stinks. Any thoughts on that?
Where's the $2?
Okay, that's a good point. I shouldn't put that.
Super chat.
Well, Goody Two Shoes says Dr. Steve makes every podcast 10 times better, but you nerds did all right too.
That's not true, but thank you.
That's true.
It was an honor for me to share a screen with Dr. Steve and with Phil Marx's logo.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my logo's honor to share a screen with Dr. Steve, and I'm going to invite you on my wrestling show now that we know about
Hell yes.
your secret past, dude.
I do have a few stories from the old
Let's
days.
go. I
Right.
have the platform
Yeah.
for it. So
By the way,
would
the
love to.
great DJ Electrify agrees that Dr. Steve only makes shows better. Well, gentlemen, I'll bid three of you adieu with the only way
Thank
I
you.
know how before the changeover.
Go along, you just close your eyes, boy, and dream of home. The light is always there. You just keep that in mind. When you wake in the morning, your best
Now, see, but then Nice Podcast Stupid came in with money, so that really messed up
There
my
you
whole
go.
thing. Was that $2? Thanks for the $2. Dr. Steve can check my prostate any day.
So
Is
that's
your
where he has
sup-
the money hidden.
Is your super chat so closed down that he had to mask the word prostate to get it
Probably,
through?
yeah.
Wow.
By the way, I brought my wife to Hackamania 1, and her favorite moment was the alleged prostate check of Rocco. She thought that was the funniest thing.
That was so surreal with Pat Dixon playing the piano in the background. It was and we didn't get to practice, so it looked stupid, but it was fun.
Yeah, well, that's
And the
obviously
aftermath was the fun thing where I got threatened. My medical license got threatened for doing a medical procedure across state line.
And instead of just finger banging a dude's butt.
Yeah, two guys just having fun.
But I mean, look,
being silly.
obviously, my wife doesn't have high standards. I mean, I think that kind of goes.
Well, I
without
wish I'd met her. That was fun to do. I loved Hackamania 1, but
yeah. Well, Hackamania 3, I think is in the works, and I'm trying to convince anybody that they want Who Are These Broadcasters to be there, just so that we can have the promo code Bears. In any case, thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate your and look. I hope one day we're able to gather again to talk about new Peacemaker stories wherever they might come from.
yes.
But thanks again to Adam, Hughezy the H-Man, Hughes, and of course, thank you to the great Dr. Steve, and thank you to Phil from Phil Marks Out. And then that, of course, just leaves Eric and myself as we shift things entirely as we look to the book world for another installment of the Geekscape Book Club, which interestingly, I have a new background.
Aww.
And
With Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, with Bruce Wayne, which there's a Bruce Wayne joke in there that we'll certainly talk about. And, there's a few other things that I need to do to make this switch over. And it's not going the way I wanted to, but that's all right. And, we got what we need. So that was fun talking about season 2. But now the Geekscape Book Club will begin at some point. But I can't get any of my things to work, so I'm just going to dive right into it. Welcome to another installment of the Geekscape Book Club. Very excited to be here with the great Count Eric Connor. Eric, how are you today, sir?
Oh, I am fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed a very deep dive into the world of Peacemaker and the world of John Cena for the past few days, and it made me sing. In fact, Christian, if you might have my singing the theme song, which I do on the streets of Burbank to make a buck or two.
Yeah, I want to make sure people know that you're quite the singer.
There's always a right to your right, and there will always be a war somewhere to find. And God knows it's real fucking years.
And Dr. Steve from the earlier stream mentioned that he didn't get to plug Dabble Dice. I hope that this does it, Dr. Steve. That's on me for not thinking to ask about Dabble Dice, but I feel like we're probably covered now. So that might be the false start. So welcome to the Geekscape Book Club, where my friend Eric Connor and I are going to be speaking about a story from 2023. Peacemaker Tries Hard. And I'm going to be honest, Eric, I had never read a comic book with Peacemaker in it before this. I don't know. If
Nor had I, and I, if you our loyal viewers and listeners, if you click on over to the Bladtcast we did about the Peacemaker TV show, Dr. Steve, who apparently was born in 1904, talked about the early days of Peacemaker, which this character has been around since I think it's the 60s.
Yeah, I think you're right. And you did share with me some images of an earlier version of Peacemaker. Some very early images. Yeah.
I kind of like that his ridiculously dated helmet sort of has withstood time. That usually would be the thing. Like you look at like the old Flash, right, with the lightning bolts on his red, construction helmet. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that was from another time and place. But here, that same with this helmet, and yet somehow that's still kicking.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because clearly this iteration of Peacemaker that we're reading is very clearly informed by the Justice League, the Justice League.
Sure.
Just to double down, that version of the character. And and I was trying, as I'm reading it, I'm like, this is kind of like a little bit more of a hyper version of the character of Chris Smith, because, it's not inconsistent with the TV version, but it is definitely not quite the same. And as I'm reading through, and he's so intense and just the way he's talking, I decided that I was going to compare him. At first, I thought he was like Stifler from the American Pie movies. And I was like, no, that's not quite it. I felt like he was PC Principal from South Park is really the character he reminded me the most of. Not in actions, but just like the constant intensity of Peacemaker. What did you think about the difference between this Peacemaker versus the John Cena one on the television series?
For me, there was a fair amount of overlap. He maybe not so like, I don't know, hyper like sexual in the John Cena performance from season 1 at least. Season 2 is a little more subdued, even though there is a moment where he's surrounded by nudity, but he doesn't seem to be enjoying any of it.
Yes,
which is a real shame. That made me feel for him.
You should be able to take in the nudity when it surrounds you. I agree.
But here, the comic early on, he befriends a dog, and that dog, like he seems just a little more like lonely, a little bit more like maybe a little wounded early on. That he talks about like the dog's his best friend. He just met him.
Yeah,
and
he like finally has a friend, and
yeah,
it's this dog that he just met.
Yeah, he did. I don't know if you felt this, Christian, but it kind of reminded me of the season 1 sort of pilot version of Peacemaker. I found like a lot of these moments here seem to come from that part of his story where he just gets out of the hospital, is sort of regrouping, rebuilding his life. It's not the militant dude from the Suicide Squad or Suicide Squad. I forget.
So the James Gunn one is the Suicide Squad.
The Suicide, yeah.
The Ayers one is just Suicide Squad. The Will Smith squad is the way to think of that. Yeah.
Sure.
The Jared Leto squad, really. Let's be honest.
Or Slipknot, my favorite character ever, who gets introduced off camera and then his head blows up within about 5 minutes.
It happened. Hey, it happens to the best of us.
One of the great red shirts. But yeah, this one here, it feels like he's trying to kind of get his life together, and then finally, maybe they were influenced by John Wick. They never name checked it, but the idea of John Wick in the first movie unleashes hell because of his dog. Similar here, and it's in both cases a dog they sort of just met and formed a very quick and very thorough, very full bond with. And now all of a sudden, in this case, the dog is kidnapped. Thankfully, it's not killed. And now he basically, the brain has him wrapped around his, I can't say his finger, but his...
It's just a brain. His medulla? I don't know. I mean, to the extent that we're getting, Suicide Squad characters, from the movie, I don't quite know what the timeline is. That is actually, kind of fun that they just really don't want to hang out with him,
It's like a Deadpool joke, like when they go to Xavier's school and they're like, "Funny, where's the rest of them?" And you
Oh,
see they're
yeah.
all off in one room, and they quickly
This-
close the door.
Actually, a pretty amazing joke payoff was just the entire cast was there. Yeah,
Yeah.
just they don't want to hang out with Deadpool for sure.
But same thing, right? Even the Suicide Squad aren't into him, though. They do have a nice callback to that moment at the end of the
Yeah,
run
I
of
thought
this show.
I did think that
Sorry.
was nice the way that they bookended it, and I think that this is a pretty wild world that we're in. The image that we're sharing for our visual audience right now is the gorilla who mostly speaks French when we first get to know him.
Yeah, it's Grodd, but a French speaking Grodd is not a character
Yeah.
I thought I needed, and yet here
And
it
yet
is.
there he was. Yeah, exactly. And just sort of, he thinks that this guy is also his best friend. And by this guy, I mean the gorilla. I guess the season 1 Peacemaker, on the show, he doesn't really have a lot of friends, but I'm used to him kind of connecting with the main characters there on the show, So I don't know. I thought that by the way, Lewis Cox says Slipknot is a great new metal band, but a DC character that gets killed in the Suicide Squad movie. Yes, in both cases, yeah. But
you figured they owed the band a little more respect, if nothing else. Like at least play that music when you introduce them. They didn't missed opportunity.
I thought that visually this was kind of really interesting in the sense that some of the like action noises are literally what's happening. Like he had like the fucked ray, which and then it's like when he hits it, it actually just says fucked. So I kind of, again, there's with this character, and there's a lot of similarities to Deadpool in that respect. This notion that he operates on a very at least TVMA R-rated sort of world, and this book was no exception to that, was it, Eric?
Now, the book also reminds me of what they do whenever a movie comes out based on a book and they change the cover, right, to reflect the movie. So, which is, by the way, one of my wife's biggest pet peeves is that. And here, it definitely, like, James Gunn's fingerprints are all over this story and its writing. Yeah. And I was curious, but it sounds like neither of us really got to know Peacemaker until the Suicide Squad. So I was curious how, prior to whatever that was, 2021, whenever
21, yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious what Peacemaker would have read like in those older comics. Was it as tongue-in-cheek as it is here?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Dr. Steve, when we talked about the television version over on the Bladtcast, he was familiar with the Charlton version, and our buddy Jeff Winstead, who's been on the book club before, he is a big fan of Charlton books. In fact, when I go to conventions with him, he's pouring through dollar books, or preferably the 5 for $4 boxes, where
$1's a little too rich.
With the dollar, well, when there's deals to be had, especially the last day of a con where the dollar box becomes a 50-cent box, little things like that. Right. He's always getting stacks of Charlton comics. So I did ask him a little bit about it. He's not really that interested in this version of Peacemaker. So I don't think
this current version that's a little bit more Gunnian.
Yeah, so I think he kind of liked sort of the throwback nature of the character. So yeah, it is an interesting thing to maybe do at some point. Maybe whenever Peacemaker reemerges on the scene, to take a look at maybe a more traditional classic version of it. I felt like this one worked for us to partner it up with discussing season 2. But there are definitely elements that feel familiar to fans who know this character from the television series,
And I love the image you have here for our wireless listeners. The various helmets he has, including the one that is marked Fuck Beam, and Dr. Slick. And then one of the great jokes here, Bane voice.
Yes.
Which clearly a reference to the movie.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. What do you mean, Eric? What could they possibly be talking about?
You say you belong to the shadows, but the shadows belong to me.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And I don't know. I mean, it is just sort of one preposterous obstacle after another to butcher the title of the latest Paul Thomas Anderson movie. I mean, he's kind of got, like Hercules has these great feats that he has to go to. Peacemaker has these minor tasks that he needs to complete, right?
Knocking out an old man.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of that sort of a thing. But I don't know. I mean, I find these characters to be kind of interesting, and he's consistent all the way throughout it. But as he is on the show, I mean, he's a broken, emotional, just lonely dude, and we have an image on the screen for our visual audience. He is ugly crying like there's no tomorrow, isn't he?
Clearly a John Cena inspired face too. I
Yeah.
mean, this is the model they used. So
Yeah.
they knew this would tie in with the shows, not story wise, but at least like in terms of trying to grab a larger audience as well. Because I mean, even our reading this comes from the show. Even the
that's
deep dive
why I
we do.
picked this one, because it
Sure.
was newer and I knew it reflected the show, so I thought it would be fun. And we do get the Red Bee. We have Snowflame, who I think his cocaine powered supervillain smuggler. Yes, we said cocaine powered, because again, reminding you that this is indeed a. I don't remember what the mature rating is for comic books, but this clearly celebrates it. And Peacemaker asking what we're all asking is, whoa, cocaine gives this guy superpowers? All it did for me was make me grind my teeth and try to fight bears at the zoo. So and it's
Oh, and the way he kills him.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, thanks.
Sneaks a poisonous frog into the big Scarface mountain-sized cocaine, and he snorts the frog. And there's a great throwaway joke where he's like, "Oh, I feel bad for the frog." Oh no, there he goes. He's fine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I forgot about that. I'm seeing it now. Yeah, I know. It's the this is really the Studio 54 of superhero fights.
When also to one thing that is similar to the show that I like is when moments get big, you have a character almost like commenting on how big it's getting.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just get like numbing. That's I think, of course, the problem a lot of the comic book movies, and especially more recent years, feel like they just get so big and they become kind of like anonymous. Like there's almost nothing to the style or flow. But here, the idea of like when Michael Rooker in the TV show gets the spirit of the eagle and suddenly seemingly has superpowers. Like it's silly because it's freaking Michael Rooker, who just up until that point just seemed to be filled with cultural appropriation as his superpower. Here, like, because John Cena is not meta, I'm sorry, Peacemaker is not a metahuman. John Cena might be. But
that would actually explain a lot if John Cena was a metahuman. I agree.
It would explain almost all of it. So when these metahuman kind of moments happen, you have these like great responses to it. Yeah, this
you
Deathstroke
woke
babies.
the Deathstroke babies. Yeah, that was one of the variant covers that they did was see there he is with some
like the kindergarten cop.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they definitely did that. And that was the nice thing about this collection, is that you got to see just some of the very different images that they used, and some different styles. This one being my favorite. Kyle Starks is the artist to the right. There's an artist named Scotty Hughes who does a lot of cartoony cover variants. I actually thought that was him, but we're jumping a little bit ahead in the story there with that one. But ultimately, this Peacemaker is the same with the TV Peacemaker in that he's alone. He had this terrible upbringing from his father, so he feels worthless. I don't know that he caused his brother's death. I don't know that that's part of this character story because it wasn't referenced, but that's such an important puzzle piece to the TV Peacemaker, because it's like, you are a fuck up, and you have that one moment where you're like, yes, that proves it. Your dad isn't
Right.
wrong about you, which I think is, and it's interesting with the they keep his father's face obscured in this book, and I thought there was going to be a payoff, and maybe there isn't another series. But did you have any thoughts about why that might be? I mean, in this universe, is he Lex Luthor? Like, I don't quite know, why we're not seeing him.
Yeah, no, it's as you mentioned. Now I'm thinking, oh yeah, that is a good point. Like, whom are they going to sort of retcon him into? But I think storytelling wise, it's a nice choice to give us kind of like an emotional subjectivity that it's like we feel like his trauma. I mean, there's so much, oddly enough, for such a goofy kind of writing to both this and the series. There's a lot of trauma in this character. Even that idea in like the show, he killed his own brother because his dad made them fight. And here it's like he has like seen things, gone through things, and he has a horrifically volatile relationship with his dad. So it's kind of like obscure in the face, feels like it's part of like a way of dealing with trauma, right? It's a kind of like
Yeah.
a PTSD element amidst all the goofiness. And there's so much great goofiness in this. And I found myself laughing out loud quite a bit while reading
I
this.
did too. Yeah.
Like,
Well, just because it's so absurd at times.
Sure.
And before we move forward on that, I did look it up just because I meant to look it up before the show. So in the comics, the identity of Peacemaker's father varies depending on the continuity. So in the original comic continuity, he's a Nazi war criminal named Wolfgang Schmidt. But in the recent television series and current comics, he's a white supremacist supervillain named the White Dragon. So Augie Smith being the character in there on the television series. So it makes the portrayal even that much more confusing in this. That it's not something major that we're supposed to get. But in terms of just the silliness of, the brain wants a body, the fact that there's Deathstroke babies, the exchange with Amanda Waller about Bruce Wayne, the dog, was like, okay, I mean, it's like, okay, it's a bit, but it's kind of a funny bit because it didn't go on forever. She didn't actually mobilize the task force to save Bruce Wayne,
Well, and even like how he got the name that it looks like he's wearing a tuxedo.
Oh, yeah.
So he calls him Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
I know someone. I will not say his name to protect the not so innocent, but his dog is Denzel Washington.
Oh my gosh!
I'm a big proponent of first and second names in dogs. Particularly when they're named after celebrities. Olivia Benson, for instance, as a cat of Taylor Swift. Yes, I know that because I'm sensitive. I know Taylor Swift's cat's name.
I'm sorry, Taylor Swift's cat's name is
Olivia Benson.
the
Law and Order
character.
SVU.
I was gonna say Mariska Hargitay's character. Yeah. You don't have to SVU explain to me, buddy. Right? I know my SVU. Well, actually, I don't. I know through seasons like 3 through 7, and so there's 25 seasons I don't know. But
Ice-T used to hang around with them, or is that a different one?
Yeah, no. Because I worked on SVU. Some people know, and I was when Ice-T was there. Yeah, so
were you a SVU yourself? Were you
No, I was a script coordinator, and before that, I was a production office coordinator. But I can't believe I never told you this story. We'll get back to Peacemaker in a moment.
Yeah.
But we had a mandatory sexual harassment seminar, which Ice was running a little late. So the only seat that was left was in the front row next to me. So Ice sat next to me, and it was the person running the seminar was basically talking to him.
And him
so
alone,
it was
like Michael Scott?
It was like they were talking to me. They were so singularly focused on him. And if I knew we were going to talk about this, I'd have my picture of me and Ice-T ready to go, which is not Hughesy's picture. It's actually a picture of me and Ice-T, but I don't want to look for it. But I don't know. And look, I thought that his basically parole officer, the Red Bee, could have very easily just been a throwaway character. But this was somebody who actually cared about him, and
And they got mileage out of that character. Like you
Yeah.
actually and it's like he cared about Peacemaker. We cared about him.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
love that he
absolutely.
controls the bees, but he only has like one with
His
him.
one bee. Yeah, I know. I did actually think that was pretty funny.
The great spin on Ant-Man, right? And
yeah, if Ant-Man just could only talk to one ant.
but it was a very well-trained, smart one.
Unfortunately, it was the only ant he could talk to was Kumia.
There it is.
Literally just for you. No reason I said that other than so that I could ding
7% of our audience will love that.
Yeah.
This image here for a radio audience is Bruce Wayne, the dog, not the human, getting his mouth on the brain.
Yeah.
And
it's an actual brain, not the hanging brain that people might be thinking about. Yeah.
Not Pinky and this is pure brain and just like tearing at it. And recently I do have a shoe that is now without a partner because one of my dogs went after that shoe like it was a brain. And it gets bigger as it goes, right? There's kind of more chaos, but to their credit, the way it was drawn, I felt like I always kind of understood what was happening in the chaos. I always have that issue with both comics and with movies when the chaos is so chaotic that almost like none of it lands. The extreme example I always give is like Transformers, where it's like you're looking at 1,000 things happening at the same time and you don't understand any of it. And here I felt like they did a really interesting job with the panels, how they'd have sort of like our image right here, one singular kind of image taking up most of the page, and then smaller boxes, smaller panels within, including his fight with Teen Stroke, I think he called him.
Yes, I thought that was because there were all these, baby death strokes, which would stand to reason that at some point you have the in between, you have the Teen Stroke, who he had a lot of emotions to deal with, sort of like
and he talked him down.
Yeah,
he didn't kill him. They became buddies.
Look, I thought that this was a really fun story. I didn't have to worry about it, by the way, I didn't see this till now, but we were talking about the television show earlier, and during the live stream when we're recording this, we switched to talking about the book. Goody Two Shoes says, "I'll pass. I already own the book. Have fun," and it's fine, But the reason
we're not here to make you read.
We combine these because sometimes it works that I trick people into sticking around. Didn't really work this time, but usually it does.
Dr. Stevens is sizzle and we're the steak.
Yes. But again, it was definitely fun. I don't understand this medicated Pete screen grab you sent to me. Is that something?
I don't think that was.
I was going to say.
That's off-brand.
Yeah, I don't think you wanted to share this, did you? Yeah.
What are your interests?
I didn't know that you knew medicated Pete.
I don't. Cameo links you up with the most wonderful people in the world that you never thought you'd see until you had $30 in your hand.
I did. Well, that's true. I forgot about you bought me some interesting ones, and I've of course. Well, I bought one from John Melendez once upon a time. But in any case, I think that this was kind of a perfect standalone. Like, if this is the only time you and I ever read a Peacemaker comic book, and I'm not opposed to reading more, by the way, that's not what I mean. But if we only read this, it's like, okay, yeah, we kind of got it. This definitely, and like I've seen Marvel do this, you definitely reflect what people are more familiar with from the on-screen portrayal. I was going to say the movies, but it's the movies and television when it comes to Peacemaker. Were there any differences that stood out to you? Like, oh, this was significantly more different than the version we're used to. For me, this was a little bit more amped up, but he felt like the same guy to me.
It felt like they maybe even had a writer or two from the show connected to this.
Yeah.
As I'm reading it, his kind of tone, his asides, the sort of the jokes that they have, the sort of throwaway jokes. I feel like I'm not sure why the door was open.
Bruce Wayne is here commenting.
Hey, Bruce Wayne, come here, buddy.
Peacemaker Tries
Hard. Come here, Bruce. Here we go. Bruce is gonna have a cameo now. Hey, buddy. Okay. Here's my Bruce Wayne, also known as Iggy Pup.
Is that Dick Grayson behind? Because there's a second pup there.
It's out. This is Alfred.
But
He's
to the point you were making pre canine commentary, that I think that this is really like we're going for the TV audience, and we have these I think 6 issues. And when they were new or as trade paperback collections, they're like, this is how we'll get people interested.
Well, it's
But
very shrewd, and it works because it isn't too much of a departure from the character most of us know as Peacemaker.
yeah, no, I think that honestly, if it's especially if it's like the Charlton version, it would be very jarring for us to read
Sure.
this, expecting the Chris Smith that we've come to know. And look, I mean, he does throw that party, and I do like how he keeps trying to invite everyone to that party, and no one wants to go.
And this final image is in essence like whatever their version of the wrecking crew is comes by to take him out, and then but he's not alone now, which is nice too. It gives a little bit of an arc to this. I don't know if his friendships were really fully earned with some of these characters, but I'll take it. And I think his relationship with Red Bee was great, and that one really was like the heart of this run here. Was that Red Bee kind of believed in him, believed he could actually be a better dude, and and even sacrificed himself to save him.
Yeah, and I think it's worth pointing out, as for our visual audience, we've shared these images. The artist on this series, his name is Steve Pugh, Pugh, not Pew Pew, but
Or
like
Florence Pugh.
like Florence Pugh, though it's spelled like that. Who previously had worked on Preacher, which I was like, okay, I can kind of see that that style working there. But and the writer's name was Kyle Starks. These are 2 people that I've certainly never consumed any content from before. But I think that this is one of those ones where it's almost like we've kind of been misled for what Peacemaker's like in the comic books. Like, this is intentionally for people like us. It probably is worth digging a little deeper for the alternate version that is, of course, the original version. So it's you want to talk about changing the cover of the book to match the movie. This would be sort of a scrawny guy in a helmet that looks nothing like the great John Cena. I think that's what we would have taken in, and I assume there would be much less colorful language, but I could be wrong. I'm not gonna lie, I could definitely be wrong. That we could, but I mean, I know I shared this earlier, but it was just to go back. I mean, this is like, this looks like a Charlton comic. This looks like, 50s, 60s DC, all this stuff where it's like, was this the same world as the one that we live in, where things were, so stuffy. The idea that Christopher Smith was the envoy to the Geneva Arms Conference, man dedicated to peace. So he's actually the peacemaker. He's trying to make peace. He's trying to broker peace. Whereas the peacemaker we know is trying to broker peace one bullet at a time, right?
Right.
It seems that it's more like that.
Well, that great line from the Suicide Squad, right? It's like, I believe in peace, and I'll kill anyone who gets in my way.
Yeah,
that's I'm paraphrasing. Apologies, but that's his attitude, right? And I think that part, the irony is that part of Peacemaker's name very much not really part of the show so much. Definitely the movie, definitely the Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah, definitely the Suicide Squad. Sure, yeah.
But I think they realized like that was just one element of him, and to James Gunn's credit, it's like he really understands kind of like what John Cena gives, and he custom fit his take on the Peacemaker to John Cena's talents as a performer, including his sense of humor. Because I mean, considering how he looks like, he's built like a brick shithouse, he's really funny, and even good at improv. That clip from season 1 of him coming up with every name they could have used instead of his dad's is incredible, and it's 5 straight minutes of pure improv.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. I mean, I think that it's there's a richness to all of this that we get, in the series, and maybe by that I mean television series, but I think that this was fun. That's kind of I'm reiterating that point, but I'm glad that I spent this time. I'm glad this wasn't a 12 issue miniseries, Eric. I think
Yeah, that might have been a little long in the tooth.
Yeah.
Even that last issue was funny. I was worried because I had watched the show first and then read the comic, and I was worried
Same. Yeah, I
the
did the same.
last issue was going to be kind of like episode 8, which is a little bit of a soft landing. We'll just say nicely for this season.
That was a
2.
nice way. That was a nice way for you to say
Yeah,
that.
I didn't use Hughesy's language to describe it.
Yeah. It's a nice way to say as not my tempo,
Right.
from Whiplash. It was definitely not my tempo.
Not my tempo. It didn't fly. It didn't race or drag. But this last issue, I thought actually was kind of a fun payoff where it did get kind of big and loud, but yet I felt like it never lost its way. And then the payoff at the end, right, where he does get the sort of whole band together, including that 93-year-old guy. Who,
Yeah.
one of my favorite visual jokes in the whole run was when that older guy was like, I'll fight him. No one's going to stop me. He's like, yeah, you're you're yelling at the wall.
Yeah.
Like the guy's, he still might be kind of tough, but he's basically blind.
Yeah, I like that even the waitress who dismissed the whole thing, she was actually there, and she was
She hooked up with him.
Yeah, I know. I like the way that these things came together. And look, I'm glad we continue to do these. I like when other people like to join in, but when it's just you and I chatting, I think we have a lot of fun. I'm gonna see who I can interest in joining us to our December entry in the Geekscape Book Club, our final entry for 2025. It is the first ever entry from Boom Studios, and it is something that I was aware of. It's from, I think, 2015, 2016, and it is look, when they have a gritty John Lovett's character Hanukkah Harry series, we'll read that. But Grant Morrison did a series called Claus, as in Klaus, so Kringle. So this is Grant Morrison and our artist Dan Mora, and yes, it is kind of a Batman Year One reimagining of Santa Claus. I'll read the description: as a wild shaman in the winter of the 16th century. So I was like, this is definitely outside the box. This is unlike anything we've done before, but I did not have a good entry. I didn't have anything actually for December. So when I was thinking about this earlier in the week, I'm like, oh, this actually sounds pretty cool. I'm not sure what platform I need to read comics from Boom Studios, but I'm putting it out there now so people have time to
Parchment. I think they're a little old school.
I might have to just go and buy a TPB, a trade paperback, which is what I used to look for. How I would consume everything, and for our audio audience, you're really missing the visuals.
Yeah, this one you might want to read. This might be one of those rare ones where we really push people to read it ahead of time, like hardcore. Because
it's going to be really hard for people to stay with us. A lot of times you're like this Peacemaker story. If you didn't read it, you kind of get it from the
visuals.
Images.
In your head.
And I mean, I think that. I don't know where you stand on classic Christmas films like Violent Night, starring David Harbour from a couple years ago.
Sure.
I actually thought that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. I thought that was a fun take on the character. Every year on my personal podcast, the Bladtcast, our pal Kaylee, aka Lucy Tightbox, and I will review another Silent Night, Deadly Night film. So I think that there's fun to be had in the holiday genre, and this seems like it might be a little bit in line with Violent Night. The backstory given to that Santa. So I'm looking forward to that, and it gives me time to map out our 2026 slate of Geekscape Book Club entries, Eric.
This title might be enough to get me to convert to Christianity.
Honestly, that's this
That's
has
the real
all
hope.
been this has been a long, very long process. That's the end game. I gave myself to the end of 2025
To turn me.
to see if I can if I can ever create a situation where you're described as a shiksa, that
It would be
that's gonna
Shagus. Shagus is the male version of Shiksa.
nope, that's my 2026 plan, to sort of get the Ava Riza aspect of it. Again, sometimes I make comments that are just for Eric. So yeah, Peacemaker Tries Hard. You don't have to try that hard. You could just go ahead and read it, everybody.
Great title, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
Like kind of perfect.
Yeah. Oh,
he does try hard, and
he
it's
tries
also
really hard.
and it's a pun on Die Hard, right? But
Yeah,
it has the word hard in it, which is a little dirty. But this is not. It's funny because I kept thinking back to like Deadpool, right? Because Deadpool was like this before the movie. Like Ryan Reynolds, that's what really drew him to Deadpool, was the sort of meta ironic take. And James Gunn is the one who really turned Peacemaker into this version of Peacemaker.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a sort of post James Gunnsian part of the DC lore, but it works beautifully with him. I mean, I think it's exactly the character that James Gunn can kind of put all his James Gunn-ness onto, because it wasn't super well known. He wasn't established in the way Superman is. And Superman, there's definitely James Gunn touches, but it's still Superman at the heart of it. It's that part hasn't changed. But this is like a clay. Or clay face you got to play with. Clay without the British accent.
That doesn't seem right. No, yes, but clay face. Well, Eric Connor, I always enjoy getting to read these books and chat with you. I'll see who I can get interested in joining us with Claws. But if no one, that's fine. I think that I think I might get 2 issues in and be like, "Oh boy, what did I sign up for?" But just on the image alone, I'm like, "Yep." And Grant Morrison, featured in the past on the Geekscape Book Club. So
yeah,
we had his X-Men storyline. Actually, not that long ago. It was only a year ago. I forget actually what that run was called, and I'm embarrassed now. But it was it was loosely referenced in the X-Men '97 series, so it'll be good to see what that is. In any case, that is our time for our November entry. Eric, keeping in mind that this is a November episode, is there anything that you'd like to make people aware of?
Well, if you want to protect yourself from the cold November rains, go hang out at Count Eric Connor over on Insta and X. Go check out the Connor family's extended review and discussion about Brewster's Millions over on Geekscape. And come find me. I'm out there. And then Christian, pulls me out of my carbon freeze every now and again to do any number of new topics. I'm always here for that too.
Every time you think you get out, I pull you back in. That is definitely what happens. And you can find me on social media at ChristianDMZ. Please subscribe to Geekscape's YouTube, and subscribe to the audio feed, however you like to consume these things. We have fun in the video versions, though. We do get to share some images and occasionally even a song or two.
Staggeringly handsome men to look at.
I mean, I don't know why somebody would punish themselves by not enjoying what we bring.
The steak and the sizzle all together.
I think that's a great point. And my personal podcast, the Bladtcast, BLADTCAST. You can find all sorts of content over there, including a recent review of the Peacemaker TV series season 2. And a less coherent analysis of Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another, and the battle was
against sobriety, I believe.
Some other fun content. So find that there. And as always, Who Are These Broadcasters is Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the Who Are These Podcasts YouTube channel, and 100 songs that define heavy metal wherever podcasts are found. A recent episode featured me So that might be the one to keep away from. But if you would like to hear my thoughts on Aerosmith's Rats in the Cellar, as I talk to host Brian Slagle, the CEO of Metal Blade Records, please check that out. All that being said, we'll see everybody we'll see you in December. And until then, as we always like to say, as long as they keep writing them, we'll keep reading them. See you in December, everybody.